Hi. I want to talk today about a woman called Wendy Duffy. You might have heard about her in the news. Wendy was 56 years old. She was a care worker from the West Midlands. And last week, she travelled to Switzerland to a clinic and she chose to end her life. Now, this wasn't because she was terminally ill, but because 4.5 years ago, her son, Marcus, died. And she said from that day, she had just been existing. And I get that. Not living, existing. Now, I'm not here to tell you whether Wendy made the right decision. That's not my place. And I don't think it's anyone's place. Honestly, unless you have felt what Wendy felt, it's not really any of ours either. But I do want to ask you just to sit with me for a few minutes because I want to try and help you understand what that pain actually is. What does it do to a person? And I want to talk to anyone who might be in that pain right now because you matter. And I don't want you to feel so alone in this and feeling that desperation to end your life. Marcus was Wendy's only son and he choked to death suddenly, unexpectedly. And Wendy was there with him. She performed CPR on him and trying to bring him back. I can't even imagine. And then she sat in the hospital with him for 5 days before he died. 5 days holding on to hope and then going home without him. Now, Wendy didn't quit. She tried antidepressants. She tried therapy. She genuinely tried everything that was put in front of her. And she said nothing touched it. Nothing reached that place where the pain actually lives. She said, and this has stayed with me, when Marcus died, I died too, inside. I want you to really hear that and understand that because that's not a woman who gave up easily. That is a woman who she fought for 4.5 years and she found the weight of it just simply unbearable and it just would not shift. Now, I want to start somewhere that might feel a little bit unexpected, but I want to start with if you've got a child and you might remember when you first took them to nursery, and you remember that first day when you left your child at nursery, that first morning you walked away, and it would have been like just a few hours, but they just dragged. And you couldn't find enough to do in those few hours to keep you occupied because you were just missing them. You're worried about them. They've never been away from you this long. And, you're wondering if they're all right. You're just counting down the hours until you could go and collect them. And they're fine and everything's fine. And you go back again and again. And gradually, bit by bit, you get used to it. And that time will go really quick. That separation became normal, bearable, and maybe even you look forward to it. Then school. They start school. And again, that same adjustment. A little more independence, a little bit more time apart, and you adapt. Then maybe they go to university. Maybe as they get older, they get a boyfriend or girlfriend, and they're not around so much. They're not calling you. They're not phoning you as much. They're not in your space. Visiting a bit less. But this is what's supposed to happen. But you have to learn again how to hold them from a distance. Each stage of a child's life, it kind of eases you gently into the next one. Like you learn to let go a bit. Nature does that slowly and it gives you time to adjust before it asks you to adjust again. Tell me, when is the stage that prepares you for your child dying? There isn't one. There's no preparation, none at all. When our child dies, it feels like both our arms have been amputated off, but no one can see that. Half of us is missing. We're walking around like zombies because we don't know how to live without our child. Research tells us that losing a child is the single most severe form of grief a human being can experience. Bereaved parents are 2 to 3 times more likely to develop what you may have heard of as complicated grief, where the pain doesn't ease with time the way that people tell you it does. Around 1 in 4 bereaved parents experience this. 1 in 4. But here's the thing that the research struggles to capture, because when your child dies, it's not just them that you lose. You also lose the version of you that was with them. So much of who we are as people, our purpose, our reason, a, a reason for getting up in the morning, our identity is built around being their mum or their dad. And when they die, that fractures alongside them. Studies have also found that bereaved parents carry a significantly increased risk of suicide themselves. And this is heightened if you have lost your child by suicide. And I think that statistic deserves to sit with us for a moment, because it tells us what Wendy was experiencing wasn't unusual. It tells us that the pain of losing a child can genuinely reach a place that no medication or standard therapy can really touch. And it also tells us that maybe we're just not doing enough to support bereaved parents, not nearly enough. I lost my daughter Diva to suicide, and I'm not going to stand here and pretend that I haven't understood the darkness of what Wendy has been in. I think most bereaved parents, if they're completely honest, will tell you that they've experienced the same. The pain of losing a child goes somewhere inside of you where nothing else can reach, nothing else touches, and it doesn't respond to being told to stay strong or that time heals, and definitely not that they're in a better place. The difference between Wendy and those of us who are still here is not strength or willpower or any of the things that people like to say. It's often something much smaller and more fragile than that. It could be one person, it could be one moment, it could be one tiny thing that gave us just enough to get through to the next day. The question I keep coming back to myself isn't whether Wendy was right or wrong. It's, what does she need that she never received? What might have kept her here? Is there anything that could have kept her here? And are we willing as a society to ask that question honestly? I thought I would share some of the things that have actually helped me. I can't list everything, but they're not the things that people tell you that that should help you, but they're things that actually did. Sometimes the most I could manage was to just stay in bed and do absolutely nothing. And that's okay, because sometimes a rest is the whole day's job. It's just doing nothing when you want to do something. Giving yourself full permission to just lie there and not perform. Okay, for anyone, that can be enough for one day. Other times, I would go and sit on a bench where a lot of people walk past. And it wasn't because I wanted to talk to anyone, I didn't. But I would just be there and people watch. And I'd just be near life. And sometimes it might be like a stranger would smile at me, or a child would do something silly or funny. Or they just smile at you, you just smile back. And something in me would just lift, like that tiniest a bit, but that is enough. You don't need a lot, you just need a quick lift. Just a little notch. You're not as low as you was. Also, on the days when I least wanted to shower, those are the days I most need to shower, because it helps. And if you've been in the darkness, maybe you know what that feels like. Getting yourself under that water when every bit of you doesn't want to, and you just come through the other side feeling better than when you went in. And that can just feel like an achievement. And friends, not friends who asked how I was feeling and waited with a worried face. No, friends who knocked and said, right, come on then, what we're doing today, let's go and do something. Or who came in and just quietly helped me get one practical thing done. Or just sat and was here. Didn't need to say a word. But practical help, it could be anything, because when you're in grief, the practical stuff just piles up around you and it just makes everything feel more impossible than it already is. This is Suki, by the way. 6 years in and I'm still struggling. One friend helping you with one thing, that matters enormously. And I think the thing people most want when they're grieving is just to not feel alone. You can't fix their grief, just less alone, less isolated. And for me, talking, creating, painting the sea, doing things in memory of Diva, those things, they give the love that had nowhere to go somewhere, and they turn that grief into something living rather than something that just sits on top of my chest. When we do something meaningful in the name of your child, it can help keep them in the present. And some days that's just enough to carry on, to carry us through to the next day. I also want to mention something called the Stay Alive app by Grassroots, suicide prevention. It's free and you just download it, and it's got no adverts, and it's designed for people who are struggling with their mental health or for people who are worried about someone. And what I like about it is that it's not just like an app with a load of phone numbers. It has practical tools on there. It's got a section called Reasons for Living, where you can store your own reasons, not what other people think are your reasons, but your own reasons. The things that are personal to you, that matter. It has a lifebox where you can keep photos that bring you a little bit of joy or comfort. And it has grounding techniques for when the feelings have become too big. And it has a safety plan that you can fill out in your own time and in your own words. You can have someone help you or just do it alone. It won't fix grief. Nothing fixes grief, but it might be something to reach for when you are feeling at your lowest. So if you fill it in when you're feeling all right, at least it's there to hand. But just remember, it's the Stay Alive app by Grassroots, and it's free. And I'll put the link in the description. She's really molting. The sun's out, and it's. If you're watching this and you are in that darkness today, I'm not going to tell you it gets easier, because I don't think that is quite the right word. I think that it becomes something that we learn how to carry, and we carry that in our own way. And I don't think anyone can tell you how to. It's something that you learn as you go along. And sometimes that carrying feels really impossible, but in the future, you will find a way. If you are struggling, you don't have to do anything big today. You don't have to be okay. You just have to get through today. And that's the whole job. Sometimes just today. And if you know someone who's carrying this, please don't stop saying their child's name. Please don't stop showing up. A text, a knock on the door, helping them with one small task, sitting with them on a bench, going somewhere, suggest somewhere, let's go for a walk, or suggest something that they've loved doing. Those things are not small to the person receiving them. Those things can really make a difference. Wendy Duffy deserved someone to sit with her. She deserved to feel less alone. Maybe she had people around her, but it still wasn't enough. I hope she's now found some sense of peace, and I hope Marcus knew just how completely loved he was. I'm Sinead, and I lost my daughter Diva, and I talk about grief because sometimes someone needs to hear it, and because she would have wanted me to keep going, and this helps me as much as I hope it helps you. Come and sit with me. You don't have to carry this all alone. And if you found ways to get through difficult days, please comment, let us know. It might help someone else.